It'll catch everybody. I'm Haley Gray. I'm the founder of the Women's Entrepreneur Network, and I've got my friend here, Velma Gallant. Welcome, Velma. I'm so excited to be with you here tonight because we're going to be talking about networking and making network work for you and networking for fun and profit and all the things, because networking is an art form. And I find that many people don't network well. And it's definitely something that I have had to learn, not always in the easiest way, because I'm not naturally a networker. I'm not naturally an extrovert. And it's something I've struggled with, learning how to network well and building connections and doing all the things. I've always been naturally prone to connecting with people, but I would say that networking well and being able to network in a way that leads to clients has not always come easily and not always worked out well for me. I mean, I've done networking groups that I've done for months and years on end that have been barely productive. I have to look at myself and say, hey, what am I doing to make it barely productive? And then I also have to look at the group itself and say, hey, is this a group that could ever produce high quality referrals for me? And I have to look at who's in the group and, how many referrals are they passing?
Right. So what are the qualities of a quality networking event? What are the things that I'm doing that are making a difference or impacting it in a negative way?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, because if I look at networking groups, I mean, things I have learned, right? I want to go to a networking group where the members of the group are actually passing referrals to one another. So they're not just, so it's not just say me buying your services. It's me saying, hey, you should meet my friend Velma because you just got divorced. And I see that you're at a crossroads in your life. Maybe you should talk to her and see if perhaps, Velma is, in the appropriate context of Velma might be able to help you figure out what's coming next in your life, kind of a deal. And, we teach the people around us what to look for. And I will say to people, look, hey, if you are going to go meet with a client or a prospect, and you go on and you look at their website and there's broken links everywhere, or it's got that, not secure error message at the top, or you look at the copyright statement and it either doesn't have a copyright statement or the copyright is like 2017, they need to talk to me.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed, I mean, and I know things, we're kind of at a transition point where a lot of our networking is done online versus in person.
Right.
One of the things that I've noticed with different networkings that I've gone to is it feels like a whole bunch of people running around going, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. And that feels icky.
Yeah, it does. And, networking on Facebook or LinkedIn is never connecting to somebody and then immediately sending them the, hey, buy my shit request. Hey, buy my stuff. And a lot of times people that are not as accustomed to networking think that that's effective networking and that's going to ever convert. And unfortunately, what that does, if you connect to somebody on a platform and you immediately say, hey, buy my stuff, hey, meet with me to buy my stuff, then the problem is that you get marked as a spammer. And your account can actually be shut down. And I've actually had this conversation with people about, we can only send out so many connection requests in a day. We can only do certain things, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times people forget that networking and social media we are connecting with people. We're connecting with real people. And if you lose sight of that fact that these are real human beings, not human doings, that have real feelings, and, they're going to get upset if you just treat them like a number. If you lose sight of that fact, then you're going to have a real problem with conversion. And you're going to wonder why in the world I'm having all this trouble. And it's because you're not building those connections. If you go to a networking group, you know, and it's the same thing, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Here, let me walk around this room and hand everybody in the room my business card. What do you think they're going to do as soon as they leave the room? They're going to throw it in the trash because they don't know you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty interesting because, I mean, LinkedIn, even Facebook it's like a giant networking event, right? And I like, so yesterday, you know, I'm sharing an event, a live event that I'm being interviewed on, right? And I'm going through my friends list to see who I can invite. And I think on Facebook, I don't think I've quite hit 1,000. Maybe I just popped over the 1,000. And I'm looking at all these people and don't know you, 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 right? And it's like feeling weird to invite some of these people to an event when I have no idea who they are.
Right. And is this even somebody who might be interested? Because the thing is that if you use that Facebook invite feature and you invite a bunch of people who are absolutely not interested, it actually kills the visibility for that whole event.
Really? Okay. I'm not, then it makes me feel better that I went through and I'm like, so I remember being introduced to this person and they might enjoy it. So I did do some of those, and I did, you know, friends and family and colleagues from other times in my life and stuff like that. And I looked at it more like most of it was, I'm sharing this to celebrate with you that I'm actually on this thing, because I'm pretty darned excited, right?
Right.
Rather than maybe they'll like what I'm talking about and they'll buy from me, right?
Right.
Because I don't do it that way. Like it's again, if I don't like it coming at me, I don't want to be the one throwing that at people either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing to remember is that almost nobody likes it coming at them. I mean, and if you look at like what the success rates are for truly cold pitching and cold messaging and cold calling, unless you're really targeting people and you have a really heck of an awesome warm-up script and a warm-up process, you're never going to convert, ever. And you have to remember that there is a process whereby you connect, you build relationships, you maybe have one-to-ones, you maybe have multiple calls, you maybe do all this stuff, and they have to know that you are a real person before they're going to be willing to even do anything with you. And I mean, I see it plenty of times. People will circle around me for a year, 2 years, 3 years before they're even willing to hit like on a post, for fear that I'm going to jump on them and try to sell them stuff. Y'all, I have no need of jumping on anybody to sell them anything. That is kind of the last thing I have any desire to do. I might jump on you to say, hey, let's connect, let's be friends. But that's about it, because that's not how I roll. And I mean, it's really hard to build a business that way. Here, let me jump on you and
one of the trainers that I worked with a couple of years ago called it leg humping. I'm like, oh, that's so accurate.
So accurate. Yeah, and it's true of, you know, either DMing people, and it's true of you know, going to an actual networking meeting. There's definitely leg humping behavior at both, and it's icky. And you know, what if instead you flip it and you're like, oh, well, hey, let's build a connection, let's build my reputation, let's build my network. And I will say a lot that, you know, your connections, your reputation, and your platform leads to clients. And it's not because you're trying to be like, I'm not selling anything. You do want to sell, but you have to have those connections with as many of the people that you're connected to first, and it has to all kind of work together. And that's, I think, one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur is how do you break that barrier into, okay, well, I'm finally getting referrals. I'm finally getting leads. People are finally trusting me enough. And those first few people who trust you enough to give you their money are taking a huge risk.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's kind of interesting because it reminds, like, we're in that instant gratification society, right? And so we have this idea that the minute I hang up my shingle, everybody's going to come flocking to me, and forget about that there's people out there, right? Like we didn't go to school and have instant friends. We went to school and we met people and we did start talking with people and stuff, but it was so much more like a real give and take. And the world is right now a let me throw things at you. I'm going to throw a bunch of stuff on you and then you're going to love me. And that's just not
not how it works at all. No, and people have to know, like, and trust you before they even are going to be willing to know anything about your business. And they have to know that you actually, like, halfway care about them and before they're even going to listen to you.
Exactly. I know when I started playing on LinkedIn, and actually I started playing on LinkedIn before it actually landed on what my business was going to be. And that was, and so it was really curiosity about the people that I was connecting with. And I went on a little bit of a campaign of, tell me about yourself. I'm going to share you with my network. Tell me about yourself. I'm going to share you with my network. And I do these little posts of, I just met this person and this is what they're all about. And then I just met this person and this is what they're all about. And it was fun. It made it actually fun to start making connections on LinkedIn before I even decided that I had a business, what my business was going to be.
Right. Well, and the thing about that is that it then makes it easier to convert any and all of those people or get any of those people to give you a referral to, hey, I'm looking for website or I'm looking for, somebody who does podcasts. Like, I'm looking for more visibility. Who do you know that has a podcast that you could refer me to? Oh, well, they're going to be much more likely to refer you to whoever because they've already had a good experience with you.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I mean, I was co-hosting another business podcast for quite some time. And that gave me the connections to, different people who market books for their clients and stuff like that. And then it's like some of the guests that were on, it's like, well, hey, I know a bunch of other people who do podcasts and stuff. Why don't we connect for 15 minutes and I'll go through my network and see who might be a match, and building relationships like that. Like, honestly, that was fun. What if we made networking fun again?
What if we made networking about, like, building connections and, like, connecting to people? I don't know.
What an idea.
That's just, like, crazy talk. Like, seriously, crazy talk.
Because, I mean, I get that it's important to be able to share what we're up to, right?
Right.
Because nobody can refer to us if we're not willing to talk about our business. But what if we walked in first and asked questions about someone rather than leg humping?
What if we, like, got to know each other a little bit before we started trying to do business together and, like, understood somebody's values and who they are as a person before we start trying to sell to them, and understand whether they're even somebody who's appropriate for me to sell to. that's the other thing too, is a lot of times I get people who try to sell me websites or they try to sell me whatever. And I'm like, dude, you do know that I do websites, right? And I've gotten some really snarky comments back and I was like, no. And they're like, well, your website's really ugly. And I'm like, not that I asked you, but okay, thanks.
Well, mine's converting. How about yours?
Mine works. Yeah. What about you? You know, I'm not cold messaging people and having to cold message people to get more clients. So tell me about how yours is working.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it is really interesting seeing the different ways that people actually connect. Like I was at a recertification last week, and it's a networking event with a whole bunch of people who have the same certification as me. So we're using a tool, but we're all using it in different ways and with different target audiences. And so it was actually a lot of fun because it was a safe place for us to all get to know each other and what each other are up to.
Well, and then you can start to see more possibilities for what you're doing with your particular tools.
Hmm. Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, I think a lot of times people think that I am particular, you know, that maybe I wouldn't want to work with another digital marketer, or maybe I would be intimidated. And honestly, nothing could be further from the truth.
Mhm.
I honestly appreciate a good relationship with another digital marketer because sometimes I hire them. Sometimes we bounce things off of each other. Sometimes we're like, hey, have you seen this thing on X, Y, or Z platform? And like, I mean, I've had really good conversations with other people who do digital marketing and say, hey, did you see this thing that Google is doing? Because they're not always documenting what they're doing. And they can be like, yeah, you know, hey, I saw that here and I saw it there, and here's what I'm doing to get around it. Oh, cool. You know, great. Thank you so much. Right. And then the next time they're like, hey, Haley, have you seen this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I saw that here. And here's what you do to get around it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so a lot of
and
times it's those relationships.
what if you bump into someone who you have a conversation with, and they're not a match for you to work with?
Mhm.
If you have a network of people who are doing similar work to you, you can just go, um, you know what? I'm not the best
Not
fit
me.
for you, but I know this person. So
Mhm.
let me connect you to that.
Yeah, I'm not your person over here, but yeah. And I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not for everybody. I had somebody that I got connected to in June, and I said, hey, let's book a get to know you call so we could see if I can maybe help you. They
Mhm,
texted me today and said, hey, I needed your help today. That's not how I operate.
mhm.
If you need that kind of help, I'm sure I can refer you out to somebody who can do same day stuff. But I'm generally not somebody who can do same day, drop everything I'm doing, spend 6 hours trying to fix your problem, unless they're an existing client.
Well, and because you need to make sense of it first, and that doesn't happen just like this.
Well, and a lot of times people are like, hey, can you fix my whoosy widget, you know, this tech issue on my website, or you know, this tech issue in my funnel. And sometimes I have to go in and figure out what the heck the last person did. I have to make sense out of it before I can do anything else. I mean, it's just, and I will say in that case, it's just being a software engineer who's been asked to go debug a tech problem. And unfortunately, sometimes debugging a tech problem can take a hot minute.
Well, and that's the thing. I think in this is just my opinion. The ones that want it instantly probably already know that it's a bigger problem than, and they're
You
just,
waited too long to ask for help.
yeah.
And if you don't already have somebody that you're working with and you're not able to get the kind of help you need, you've got a bigger problem. And I'm probably not your girl.
Yeah.
I mop up a lot of messes. I don't enjoy cleaning up self-inflicted messes.
I think it'd be more fun, um, well, I mean, it always is more fun creating something really well right from the beginning.
Well, a lot of times I do end up having to throw stuff out and start over again from the
Mhm.
beginning because, a website has got so many plugins that it's become completely unstable.
Mm.
Or, it's got so much custom code and none of it's documented. So how do I fix this? And you can't find your original developer.
Right.
Um, so definitely. And then, a lot of times in funnels, there's a lot of conditional formatting. If this, then that, if this, then that, if this, then that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, computer programmers are not always known for being, super great about documenting things. And sometimes people will write stuff that is intentionally badly written, just to make it harder to read and make it harder to understand so nobody else can touch it and fix it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just kind of an ugly inner thing. That's why I prefer to not write custom code when I can help it.
And then that's that insecurity of wanting to be needed.
Absolutely. I personally believe that there's enough fish in the world, and enough fish in the ocean that you don't need to sabotage your client or whatever. Like, I mean, I saw it when I worked in corporate. I saw it when I worked at IBM. I saw it when I worked at EMC. There were some people who would write stuff that was intentionally difficult to read, and really it doesn't benefit anybody in the long run because you're not really coding yourself any security. You're actually making it so that nobody but you can actually support that piece of code.
Well, and if somebody, I'd rather refer somebody who keeps my life simple than somebody who I have no choice but to work with.
Right, but a lot of times you don't know that you've gotten yourself backed into that corner until it's too late.
True
And then
enough.
you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater because it's all a disaster.
True enough. So we were talking about networking, which eventually
We went
morphed
to sideways,
into,
didn't we?
yeah, we did. We morphed right out of there.
Well, and yeah, I mean, networking is about building trust in relationships, right? So getting to know the people that you are referring to, getting to know the people that you're buying from, getting to know them super well, understanding their values and what they stand for and what they don't stand for. I mean, I have had times where, if a mistake was caused by us, we go in and we absolutely fix it for the client.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
What if networking were like good code?
Mm.
Simple code.
Yeah. What if networking were like, I don't know, a great way to build relationships and friends and all make money together? I don't know. Crazy thought, right?
Because I noticed, like, I know you've got your networking event coming up, and I was at the last one, and it was enjoyable because I liked the little breakouts and the conversations and stuff like that, because I think those are super valuable because those are the little things that can create the bonds.
Right. Well, and that's the goal, right? So when you go to a networking meeting, let's be real, if you go to a BNI meeting or you go to whatever meeting, it's a dog and pony show. It's not about passing business during the meeting, ever. Anybody who tells you doesn't know networking. I mean, and everybody I know who knows BNI, who knows other forms of professional networking, where the business actually happens is the one-to-ones outside of the networking meeting. So for me, the measure of how good of a group is a group initially is how many one-to-ones can I score from this meeting? And if nobody here is willing to schedule a one-to-one with me, then this is not my group. If you are not willing to have coffee with me and let me get to know you better, then it's not worth my time to spend here because it tells me that you're not interested in getting to know me either.
But don't you find that sometimes those can end up being time sucks too?
You know, well managed one-to-ones are actually rarely time sucks because usually it's that focus of get to know each other, build that know, like, and trust factor. What are you goals? Who are you looking to meet? How can I introduce you? How can I describe what you do the best?
Mm-hmm.
And the more of those you do, the better you get at it. And then you circle back around and you do that one-to-one. You have a circle of maybe 30 to 40 people. Most of us can only have like an inner circle of maybe 100 people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you do one-to-ones with that many people, you'll do amazing. Sorry. Our oak tree is trying to kill us back there. Every time somebody walks by, it like pings you in the head with oaks, acorns. And every time an acorn hits the deck that the dogs notice or get startled by, they start barking.
Mm-hmm.
And our old dog has taught the new dog how to bark at the acorns hitting the deck.
Okay. Check this out.
Exactly. The baby dog has taught the new dog how to chase cockroaches.
Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, so and I think you want to be discerning about the kind of people that you do network with. So I started out my little show, and
Hold on, my child wants in the back door. I'll be right back.
yep.
Keep going. I can hear you.
And I'm using that as an opportunity to get to know people that are sort of in my industry, but that are around me. They're not necessarily direct competition, but they're acorn. It's not a squirrel, it's an acorn.
It's his daughter, actually. My child wanted in the house. I think we're done with all the barking. That is like the most obnoxious thing ever, isn't it? I'm like, I'm so sorry. I thought I was just opening the door. Oh no, we got the whole chorus.
She's home.
There's an invader in the house.
So I'm actually I love how the show is creating the opportunities for me to get to know a lot of other people. And I mean, we've talked about my why operating system, and my why is to be a contribution. Well, I got to tell you, creating my little show has really made it easy for me to be a contribution to people, because there's all these women around me, divorced women who are succeeding like crazy, that I get to showcase, and I get to know them, and then I get to make referrals to them as I get to know them. Like, I reached out to one woman the other day. I happened to be on YouTube, and this show popped up that I'd never watched before.
Yeah.
It was talking about this divorced woman who had her husband walk out on her when she was away at a conference a year ago. And then she came back to the show for a follow-up. And so they were talking about, what's happened between then, when it happened, and now, because she had a little bit of an influencer background and stuff, right? Like that, right? And it was a really good story. So I found her, and I popped her a message, and I said, like, I'm doing this show. This is what it's called. I'm new because the show is new, but I'm old hat to interviewing. I've been doing it for 20 years. But are you interested? Would you like to come play? Kind of thing. And she said yes.
Yeah.
So I'm having a lot of fun getting to know a lot of people in a variety of different industries, right? that I get the opportunity, because I'm showcasing them, I'm sharing what they're up to, their websites, all of that kind of stuff, right?
Isn't that like the best win-win-win?
Totally. It is so much fun.
It's like my summits, in case y'all haven't learned. I get to have people come and they speak and people network and they walk out of there with business, and I get to promote my speakers and I get to share how amazing they are. And, you know, every once in a while I get clients out of it too. And I make some money. Who would have thought? It's like this amazing virtuous cycle. I'm like, who doesn't like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's where having like your monthly networking is a lot of fun as well. Because again, you show up, you get an opportunity to meet a bunch of people who you might be able to make a difference for. And you go making a difference for somebody. It's really weird how this happens, but you go making a difference for somebody and they might like you and start sending business your way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more the people you have in your network that you build the relationships with, that you reach out to, that you have that ongoing communication with, the better.
Yeah.
It all works.
What is that saying? Nobody cares until they know how
until
much.
they know. Yep, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think so too. Thank you guys for bearing with me tonight as the dogs have been barking and going batshit crazy and all the things.
And hit the
Thank you, Velma.
Every month.
Hit the networking. I posted the link. Y'all check out the When Networking events. We have them posted on the Facebook page too, Women's Entrepreneur Network Facebook page. Y'all check out the networking. We do them every month, the first Thursday of each month at 1:00 p.m. Eastern. We do it because we care. And it's kind of cool. Thank you. Thank you, Velma.
Yeah.
Bye.